And a good Monday afternoon to you. Welcome on in to lunch with Claibs and Joe here on claibsonline.com, powered by Gray Bar, driven by Munganass St. Louis Acura. I am Joe Roderick, joined alongside by the newest inductee into the Missouri Broadcasters Hall of Fame. He is Mike Claiborne, and Claibs, once again, Friday night. Congratulations on another accolade in your career.
Well, thank you. This one was special because I had all my friends and family hanging out, and let's just put it this way: the lake will never be the same after we left. We had a good time, and appreciate everybody coming down. And it was good. Going in with Brian Busby, who I'd known, and a couple other people who I'd known of. It was a good night for everybody.
And since since Claibs Online has we launched it back in 2020. This is now 2 Hall of Fames that you have been inducted into. So I just kind of throwing that out. I mean, it's not lost on me.
Well, I was surprised by it when I got the call. I'm honored, definitely. But yeah, it's been fun. I've said in my speech, man, I'm showing up to have fun and enjoy myself. And when you mesh the two of working at something you really like, it works out. So I'm happy. But as I said in the speech, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for a whole lot of people.
We're going to try to
I'm gratefully indebted to them.
Let's see if we can get that speech and post it up on Claibs Online. See if we can get that in this over the next week or so, and see what we can if we can share that with others. So got back from that Saturday weekend of baseball, watching the Cardinals and the Phillies out in Philadelphia. Cardinals on a 3-city road trip right now.
Longest trip of the year.
Yeah, they head to Houston tonight, but the series in Philadelphia, I knew going into it would be a fun little test with the Cardinals being the hottest team in baseball right now over the last 2.5, 3 weeks or so. Yeah, they dropped 2 out of 3 to the Phillies. They held their own, though, against the Phillies. I think in no way embarrassed by that. And you look up and down that Phillies lineup, my God, that's a good team.
They really are. And, when you think about the 2 losses, and I didn't see much of them, but I've talked to enough people who were part of it to tell me that, yeah, we were in those games. Better team won. But as you mentioned, nothing to hang your head down about. There were no routes. And, you think about last night's game. I mean, the Cardinals made 3 errors and ended up winning. You think about the errors that came back to bite them. I mean, all 4 runs.
Every single one of them, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's one of those situations that they're doing the right things. They were a little sloppy last night. I think you go into Houston, and if you can sweep Houston, maybe get 2 out of 3, and then you come home, you have Colorado. Okay. Colorado's not as good as they need to be. And then here comes Pittsburgh. So you can really do some damage over the next week to 10 days if you show up and play Cardinal baseball like we witnessed over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, they are just climbing in the standings right now, and with the win last night, have put themselves in a wild card spot. If the season ended today, they're the 3rd team in the wild card standings right now. Something that weeks ago I think we looked at and we were like, oh well, I mean they're not out of it. Maybe if they get hot, they did. They got hot, and Nolan Gorman mentioned last night in the post game. They finally started hitting. The bat finally woke up a bit.
Well, the other thing you have to take into account, fortunately the season doesn't end today because I think they can still win a division. There's a lot more to this team. I'm concerned about a couple of things, though. You need a little bit more oomph from the right side. And obviously you want to hit a little bit more. You like to have a little bit better bench for options. But also you're going to need some more pitching. And you're going to need some more starting pitching. And I know Palante had a very good outing, but you better have somebody in the front end of your rotation that can give you the 6th and 7th or 8th innings. When you look at what Miles and Lance are doing, they're trying to get you to 5. But I think when you have that situation, you can't have 2 guys in your rotation, really 3, who can barely get you to 5 because now your bullpen is going to be working virtually every night, and it won't hold up at this rate.
No, I'm excited. Have we heard a timeline on Kenya Middleton yet?
It's my understanding he had a brief setback, so okay. I'm not sure what the most recent status is. But yeah, he would be a plus, but I still think you need starting pitching.
I know Gallegos pitched in Memphis this weekend too, right?
Yeah, I saw Gio, and he went down there, and I think he's scheduled to go again here soon. Um, but here the thing is, they've got to the answer is not in the organization as we speak, and it's almost like a broken record because I think I said that last year. The answer is not in the organization, and I'm not sure what that says because here we are a year later saying the same thing, but they're going to need some help. And as I told you at the beginning, this is going to be an 18-man pitching staff. You're going to have guys that you're going to get from the minors. You're going to have guys that are going on and off the injured list, and you're going to bring in a new face. You have to. You cannot win with this current setup.
You have two teams you mentioned coming up in the schedule right now that you can maybe start to look at a little bit and look at their roster because these are two teams that are probably going to be selling. Starting with the Astros, it feels like they're in a similar situation right now to the Cardinals last year, where they went in with high hopes and big expectations, and it just hasn't happened. They haven't been able to click yet. They haven't been able to fight their way back in, and if it doesn't pick up here in the next 3 to 4 weeks, they might be looking at selling off some of their pieces, the pieces like what the Cardinals did last year, some of their guys that are on 1-year deals that they could try to get somebody back in return, and they could just say, you know what, this year's not our year. We're going to try to get something for you and just see, if we trade off 5 guys, maybe one of the prospects we get back is good.
Yeah, I think that's a very viable option. Houston is at that crossroad where, you hear Bregman's name mentioned. They have Pena. They just re-signed Altuve. They've got a couple of other good young players that are good, but they just don't have enough. The pitching is suspect in a lot of regards. First-year manager. A lot of things have a tendency to go in the wrong direction for them. In Pittsburgh, you've dealt with Pittsburgh before. They ended up with Oviedo. You ended up with Hatton, and he was a pretty Stratton. He's a pretty serviceable.
And Quintana too.
Yes. So I don't know if Pittsburgh has that answer that you're looking for. I'd like a guy with a little bit more big league experience. So I don't know if Pittsburgh's willing to part with any of those younger pitchers they have because they really don't have enough experience that you think can actually help you. So
the Rockies,
you're going to look around.
I mean, you got the Rockies coming in too. That's another team that they are going to be
I don't
think
the Rockies ever want to deal with the Cardinals again. I'm just saying. I mean, Arizona and the Rockies. Now, I think the lefty pitcher, he's still there.
Austin Gomber.
Yeah, Austin Gomber. Mm-hmm. I think he's still there. I think all those other players, much like Arizona, are out of the organization. And most of them are out of the game. So, teams just, you can't take on that sort of time. And you know what? Who's to say the guys we got last year? Drew Rom has been hurt. Sagasi is a guy that everybody is intrigued by. And the other guys are just guys right now. They can't help you. So it's something that you're going to have to take a long, hard look at. But Cardinals have been in this situation before. So let's just hold on and see what happens. We're not even to flag that yet.
I was going to say, when do you start looking around at other teams' rosters?
I'm already looking.
Yeah, okay.
I'm already looking. Because I don't think, and I know some would say, well, you're going to overpay if you get a guy early. Maybe so. But I know this, the guy I'm moving can't help me compared to the guy I'm trying to get. So I don't look at it as overpaying. I'm looking at trying to hedge my bet and make sure I'm better. Yeah. And the guy that I'm going to trade can't help me more than the guy I'm trying to acquire.
One guy that's likely going to be traded or on a different team in one way or another come the trade deadline, Claibs, is your guy, Tommy Pham, who made headlines once again over the weekend trying to fight the entire Milwaukee Brewers roster after a play at the plate and had some pretty nice quotes after the game as well.
The quotes probably were obviously unique. The thing is, let's not get it twisted here. People have said that for ages, but when it's on tape and you hear it, you're like, whoa. And, he's going to get traded and he knows it. And the best thing about it is he's going to go to a better team than he's on. Mm-hmm. And he'll be able to help that team. And, some people are uncomfortable with him because he's pretty honest about things. But I've never heard a guy say, I don't want to play with that guy because he shows up ready to play hard and play for his teammates. And he'll end up in a better situation. But obviously he had enough of the chirping from the Brewers, and maybe there was a couple of guys in particular who had said and done some things in the past. But realistically, it all goes back to a bad judgment on the third base coach's part to have him run on a guy who caught a ball right behind the shortstop, okay? I know Yelich doesn't have a good throwing arm anymore, but anybody, you and me, might be able to throw out Tommy Pham from standing behind the shortstop.
Yeah. As you mentioned, he's going to get traded, but the White Sox now 15-45. Even for a guy that knows he is going to be traded, in that situation, it has to be so frustrating just losing day in and day out. And at this point, the laughing stock of Major League Baseball in 2024.
Yeah, but, everybody thought they were going to lose 100 games. I don't know anybody didn't think they weren't going to lose 100 games. Now, being part of that is obvious. You're right. It's frustrating. And he and I were having this conversation. And I was like, man, you can't even look at the record. You just have to focus on what your job is all about and stay within those parameters, because now teams don't even want to pitch to him because they know he's the one guy that can hurt them. Mm-hmm. So my thing to him was, do not allow them for you to get yourself out by expanding your swing zone. They start throwing you sliders away. If they get you on a slider away that you can't drive, then you tip your cap to them. If they make a mistake inside, then you make them pay. But don't get caught up in trying to do too much, because once you do that, you develop bad habits and then you can't get out of them as easy as you got into
them. We talked about some of the Cardinal options for trade deadline, for looking at what's out there. One name that keeps popping up over and over and over again, Trevor Bauer, still a free agent and has been very vocal about it, has been on social media asking for jobs and replying to fans whenever they suggest a team to him. And yeah, you mentioned the Cardinals need starting pitching. He's a starting pitcher. Another team that is in desperate need of starting pitching right now, too, is one of the best in the game. The Baltimore Orioles just lose 2 of their starters for a significant amount of time. Have you heard anything or any thoughts on just if Trevor Bauer has any chance at all of being signed to a major league team in this season?
No, I don't think he will. I think that this has been decided well before now. And because you haven't even heard any players speaking up on his behalf.
No.
So that's a real interesting indicator. And players are pretty close-knit about supporting and not throwing guys under the bus. I haven't heard one guy say, we need to have him on our team. So there's more to him, I think, than we know on the surface. And while there was still some other women who had some allegations toward him, they haven't gone to court yet. But I think that cloud is still over his head on, if we bring this guy in, and he's going to get sued, and that's going to be a distraction. It's kind of like that kicker with the Commanders, who had a sexual assault lawsuit filed against him when he was with Carolina. And as soon as the Commanders found out about it, they cut him.
Yeah.
They just,
Brandon McManus. Yeah.
Yeah, they just don't need the distraction. Mm-hmm. And, the game has got too many players that you can find that can help you. Now, with regard to Bauer and his ability to pitch, can he help a team? I guess he could. But do you want to deal with all the things that come with that? The distractions and, everything else, because he made his own bed here. And he, too, is a guy I've never heard another teammate say anything good about. They may not say anything, but they never say anything good.
Right. The Cardinals start tonight in Houston. 3 games in Houston. First one tonight at 7:10, and then a 4-game weekend series coming up against the Rockies here in St. Louis. And as the Cardinals face the Rockies on Sunday, June 9th, 10,000 kids 15 and younger will take home their very own neon Cardinal jersey thanks to High Chew. Plus, you could stay after to run the bases. Post-game info over at cardinals.com/promotions. Those jerseys, the kids are going to love it. All black jerseys with the neon, multiple neon colors of the birds on the bat. They'll be wearing those all over Busch Stadium the rest of the season. We will take a break. When we come back, we got finals to talk about. NBA and NHL, they're both all set, and they start up later this week, and we'll talk about it right here on Lunch with Claibs and Joe. Powered by Gray Bar, driven by Mungenast St. Louis Acura.
Let me get this straight. Gray Bar is a distributor?
Yep. For more than 150 years, we supported electrical and datacom projects all over the country.
so you can get me products wherever and whenever I need them.
Yep. Thanks to our expansive national logistics network.
For any industry?
Yep. From construction sites and industrial plants to schools, hospitals, and just about everything in between.
So you could say Gray Bar is much more than a distributor.
Yep, you could say that.
They really do it all.
Yep. When you need a hand powering, connecting, or maintaining your operations, join the thousands of professionals who rely on Gray Bar to help keep them up and running. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Back here on Lunch with Claibs and Joe, here on Claibs Online, powered by Gray Bar, driven by Munganast St. Louis Acura, Munganast Burkhardt Alton Toyota, and Claibs this past weekend. You were behind the wheel of one of the new 2025 Camrys out there at the lake. What are your thoughts on the newest car there at the on the lot over at Munganast Burkhardt Alton Toyota?
First of all, I want to say thank you to the good folks at Munganast for giving me a set of wheels. And secondly, they're going to sell a lot of those cars. I mean, I was very impressed with the Camry. Got a lot of space. It's a hybrid, so it's good. Going to have good gas mileage to it. Has all the bells and whistles you want, and it has such a smooth ride that this car is going to be one of the top producers for them. I can guarantee you that. And it has everything you want, including a good price. So if you're thinking about a car, you're not sure, you might want to check out that 25 Camry. I mean, and it's amazing. It seemed like 10 years ago where the new cars of the following year would come out like in late October. Now we're just at June 1st, and this car is already available to be purchased. So they're well ahead of the pack, but you have to check out that Toyota Camry. They've got them in multiple colors, different styles. No need to add bells and whistles because they have them all already included. So go by and check them out. Munganast Toyota over in Alton, Illinois.
I believe we'll be out there next week for our show, Claibs, out there on Homer Adams Parkway. Another thing too, Claibs, next week, I didn't mention this to you, cutting my hair next week.
This ought to be a monumental event. Are we doing this online, or how do you want to do this?
I haven't decided. I know I'm cutting it either next Wednesday or next Thursday. It's long enough. I can donate 12 inches of it. So it is finally long enough. So it is, it's coming off next week.
So no more the Timothy B. Schmidt look.
I know you don't know who
that is. Okay.
I don't know who
bass
that
player
is.
in the Eagles.
Okay. Hey, it was in a nice tight bun Friday night. So you couldn't even tell how long it was. It looked real nice and classy
that's good.
there. But yeah, cutting it off next someday next week. It's cutting off 12 inches of it and donating it to Wigs for Kids is the company that it's going to be donated to. So
I wish I could donate it, but I'm fresh out.
Yeah, I see that. Claibs, last night we found out who is going to be representing the NHL in the Stanley Cup Finals, the Edmonton Oilers against the Florida Panthers. Edmonton has a chance to break a 30-plus year drought of Canadian teams winning the Stanley Cup, and they have the best player in the NHL to possibly do it.
Well, those are the two teams I picked in the playoffs. I'm not surprised. The last Canadian team to win was the 93 Canadiens, and that was the last team that featured all North Americans. Now, this Edmonton bunch, I believe, features 16 Canadians. So I know they've got a few guys that are not from North America. It's going to be a fun series. I think Florida is deeper. They play a heavy game. And you know, Edmonton's going to be tough to play against because they can play a heavy game too. The goaltending is going to be interesting to watch. I just think that Florida has just a little bit more talent. Connor McDavid, and granted, Edmonton has a lot of offense when you think of McDavid and Draisaitl, Zach Hyman. I mean, they've got some guys up and down their lineup that can score. Maybe not as good defensively as far as scoring is concerned, but it's going to be a very good series. It's going to go at least six. I think one of the more intriguing things is the fact the travel.
Longest distance between two teams ever in Stanley Cup history.
So they'll have a chance. And so the good thing here is ABC has both finals and the NBA Finals. So there'll be a game from one of those two sports every night for like the next 10 days or so.
Yeah. So NHL in a similar situation to what the NBA faced, with the NBA one series going 5 games, one going 4, and then there was a huge gap in between. That series doesn't start until Thursday. So Edmonton wraps it up last night. First game in this series isn't until Saturday.
Yeah.
So now we have Monday through Friday now of that's for a league that really needs more eyes on it. 5 days off isn't great.
Yes and no. You're right. The layoff can have an impact, but you can't find a guy that can't enjoy these days off because their bodies just beat the crap.
Right.
They should go the route of like when you have all that downtime for the Super Bowl and find things that you can incorporate with regard to your league that people don't know about. They've already handed out some awards already, but they've got to find a way to remain relevant. The NBA, that's a machine, man. I mean, they're going to have better numbers in the NHL, period.
Oh yeah.
But they found a way to keep things moving. Whether it's an off-court story, we have some coaches that haven't been hired yet in the NBA. Everybody's waiting to see what's going to happen with the Laker gig. It's an interesting name that popped up over the weekend, who I've always thought was one of the smartest basketball people I've ever seen and been around. So smart that he intimidated a couple coaches along the way, and that's Rajon Rondo. I know
I didn't hear his name pop up.
His name has come up a little bit more. Rondo's got smart, man. He has an incredible vision.
Yeah.
I think Rondo's problem was he was a little too honest with Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle basically said, I don't want to coach him. I don't want to coach him. So he may be an assistant, but I also did hear his name maybe potentially being a head coach. So the NBA will have enough things to do, and I'll be interested to see if this week they don't announce what their TV plans are.
They have a few days. Thursday is when that tips off. So they go Thursday, Sunday with their games. NHL starts on Saturday. They go Saturday, Monday. So NBA, that's just big breaks the whole time because they go Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday. So first 7 days, only 3 games played.
Yeah, that's the way it used to be, though. That's the way it used to be. And they've changed their format. It used to be 2-2-1-1-1. Then they went 2-3-2. I haven't even looked at what it looks like for this year. Dallas and Boston is pretty close proximity with regard to travel.
2-2-1-1-1.
Okay, I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah,
because you could have you had those 3 middle games, and you could lose at home before it's over with. So I like the way they set that up. So it'll be fun. I'm sure we'll hear a lot about the back end of this as far as the analysts are concerned and all that. Personally speaking, I think TNT does a better job. But Doris Burke is going to make history. She'll be the first female to be able to call a final. Hopefully, JJ Redick will let her talk a little bit more. Mike Breen, I think if Mike Breen, okay, I just let it go at that. Mike Breen's going to be part of the broadcast too.
Yeah.
Kenny Albert and Ed Olczyk had a really good run. I think ESPN really suffers with regard to their coverage, and this I don't know
who the ESPN play-by-play guys are.
Well, they run about 4 or 5 of them out there. Their studio show is not what I would call standard. So but then again, I'm just going to watch the games, man. I don't care about these other cats.
Yeah. So that's and also we'll get see NHL history this week too. Corey Perry will become the first player in NHL history to appear in the Stanley Cup Finals for 5 different franchises.
Yeah, he's
part of the Edmonton Oilers. He's been with the Lightning, the Stars, the
Ducks,
and wasn't the Canadians? The other one was no, it was
no, yeah,
it was Canadians. Okay.
Yeah.
So this will be team number 5 that he's appeared for the Stanley Cup in.
Well, he's one of those guys you hate to play against, but he just keeps showing up. He's a gifted player. He has some real talent when he's with the Ducks, but he's a pain in the butt to play against, and he plays on the edge. And both teams have teams that play on the edge, and that's what's going to be interesting here on how they call this series, because Matthew Tkachuk is a younger version of Corey Perry, maybe even more on the edge. And at some point, he's going to get somebody hurt. It's just a matter of time. From a physical standpoint, I don't think we'll see a lot of fighting. We'll see a lot of face washes and things of that nature. Neither team has a real heavyweight, but they do play heavy games. So it'll be fun to watch.
I'm glad you mentioned that kind of the bruiser, kind of the enforcer that's out there, because that kind of brings me to the WNBA talk that I wanted to get into this past weekend. I believe it was Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
The first matchup of the season between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky saw Clark versus Reese, matchup number 1 of their WNBA careers. And towards the end of the game, Caitlin Clark gets a shot from behind, knocked onto the floor by a Sky player. Flagrant foul assessed after the game was over, fines levied, and now that has kind of become. You mentioned that they needed a story and they needed something in the WNBA. Yeah. Well, the Sky gave it to the basketball community.
But see, here's the thing that nobody's talking about. And I don't know why. I don't know whether everybody wants to protect Caitlin Clark. There's 2 things that she's already had a reputation of doing. When she dribbles right, she throws her left arm out and hooks people, or gives them leads with an elbow. That's the first thing. When Carter gave it back to her, nobody talked about when she elbowed Carter in the play beforehand.
Yeah, going for the rebound. For the rebound, you can see Caitlin Clark throw an elbow too. Yeah.
So I understand that this player could be the meal ticket for the league, and you can get an argument on both sides of the street on this one. I think that there should be a little bit more done, but I think Matt Barnes said it best. He said, "Where are teammates?"
Mm-hmm.
You look back on sports, and we'll use hockey. Gretzky, whatever team he went to, whether it was Marty McSorley or Dave Semenko or whomever, there was always a guy that would skate up to you and say, "Hey, look, if you do that again, there's going to be a price to pay." In the NBA, when you had Dennis Rodman making sure nobody messed with Jordan, or Rick Mahorn made sure nobody touched Isaiah Thomas, there's always been a person of physical presence. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to have to cold cock somebody upside the head. But if you get banged around enough, the message goes back to your bench and say, "Hey, look, let's find another way to beat these guys, because I'm taking a beating out here." And I haven't seen anybody from Indiana step up yet to defend her. And maybe they don't know her. Maybe they're trying to get to know her. I would think she would be a good teammate. I don't know. But I think that somebody's got to step up and say, "Hey, look, we can't have this anymore."
They don't play again until my goodness.
They had a brutal schedule. They had a back-to-back this weekend.
Friday they don't play again. The Fever don't play.
Much deserved, because they played a bunch of games. I think they played 4 in 6 nights or 4 in 7 nights. And so they'll give them a break. But, and maybe that'll give them a chance to bond a little bit as well.
I was going to say, that seeing the headlines and a teammate probably deciding they should step up and be that person that's going to help protect her and make a name for herself and maybe get a little job insurance.
Well, you know what? All it takes is a well-placed screen with her coming up the floor and somebody not paying attention, and they get their block knocked off. And now all of a sudden, guess what? We're back to even.
Mm-hmm. We will take another break here on Lunch with Claibs and Joe, powered by Gray Bar, driven by Munganast St. Louis Acura. And Claibs were also sponsored by the Missouri Athletic Club.
Yes, we are. The Missouri Athletic Club is in full swing. All the summer programs are underway for the kids. Pools at both locations, West County and also downtown. But if you have a meeting event or a banquet or something along that line, or if you just want to enjoy the amenities of the athletic club, because they do have several, this is a place you have to consider. They've got a lot of things for a lot of people, whether it's for your business or whether it's for your family or just some of your friends that want to gather and hang out and have a good time, whether it's smoking a good cigar, having a great cocktail, or meeting that's significant after work. Missouri Athletic Club has everything you need and then some, including golf. So if you need more information, just go online and check them out. And once you do, you may say to yourself, "I should have done this well before now."
He is Mike Claiborne. I'm Joe Roderick, back after this.
Are you ready for a challenging and rewarding career? There are quality jobs in the construction industry.
I got out of college and my career choices were very limited, and this provided me with a plan for the present and the future at the same time.
I actually have a bachelor's degree in psychology, and I was making less than I make as a first-year apprentice painter.
I didn't go to college. I have no college debt. I make more money than the majority of people I know that went to college.
Take your first step towards a rewarding career. Visit stlouispdf.org.
Final few minutes of lunch with Claibs and Joe, powered by Gray Bar, driven by Munganass St. Louis Acura. Cardinals and Astros tonight in Houston as the Cardinals look to get back on another streak of winning series that was snapped this past weekend in Philadelphia. Another thing that happened this past weekend, Claibs, the fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson was called off. How much interest did you have in it?
I had some.
Yeah.
I had some. Now, I've heard a couple of different things. Did Paul get clocked in a sparring session? Is that one of the things you've heard?
I mean, I heard it was pretty much because of Mike Tyson's recent medical scare. He had the incident on the plane. Yeah.
But no, it's my understanding that Jake Paul got clocked in a sparring session where he may have broken his nose.
Oh, I didn't see that because after it came out, after Mike Tyson had the incident on the plane, the ulcer, and then said that he was fine, but then it came out a few days later. Doctors said, "Nah, we don't think you should be fighting." People were kind of stepping up to take his place in that fight and still have a fight on that date. One of those being Jake Paul's brother, Logan Paul.
Well, I'm not
I would have zero interest in watching that. That would just be a completely rehearsed, choreographed.
And, to be honest with you, I wouldn't want to pay to watch Jake Paul fight anybody. I mean, everything seems like it's already been scripted on how it's going to work. So I think the Tyson thing would have been intriguing, and hopefully they can come back and revisit that. But like I said, I'd heard that Jake Paul got clocked in a sparring session. It was not at his best.
Yeah. So that's unfortunate. That was supposed to be next month. They're saying it's just postponed.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can make that work at some point. Claibs, breaking news as of a few hours ago, Cowboys Hall of Famer Larry Allen passes away at the age of 52.
For anybody who never saw Larry Allen play, Larry Allen, if I had to have my Mount Rushmore of offensive linemen, he would be on it. I'm not sure if there was a stronger / tougher offensive lineman than Larry Allen, who played guard. I knew guys that would have the flu that when they saw the schedule and they saw Larry Allen. I'm not going to mention any names because when the Cowboys played the Rams a couple of times, a couple of guys have found a way not to be available. This guy was as devastating as anyone you'd ever see. He was from Compton, and there's a story that Larry Allen and another player I won't name in training camp, it got so rough that Larry Allen was going to his locker to go get something because he was not done with it because he got cheap shotted, to the point where management and ownership had to talk to him because this is one of the last guys you want to mess with. I mean, Joe, he would just destroy people. And again, as I said, he might have been one of the strongest, if not the strongest man ever put on a helmet. And died at 52. I don't know what he looked like condition-wise. I think I saw him at the Hall of Fame ceremony maybe last year. He was always a big man. But, God rest his soul because he is truly one of the greatest offensive linemen to ever play the game.
Yeah, on vacation with his family in Mexico is what the report is saying. So
yeah.
That's unfortunate. And also in NFL news, Justin Jefferson signs a 4-year, $140 million deal with the Vikings. We're going to see now. We're going to see a whole lot of other wide receivers wanting to step up and get paid.
There's money to be available. Okay, so these deals wouldn't take place if there wasn't money to be had because the TV money continues to increase for the league. I think did the cap go up $8 million this year?
I hadn't seen what the cap was, but I saw just the billions and billions of dollars that they were.
So they had to spend it.
23, yeah,
they had to spend it. I mean, so he's the first of a few. Like I agree with you. There are going to be some other receivers say, well, hold on a minute. I think you're going to see that money spread around. Because again, apparently, again, I don't have the exact number, but I know it was going up. And again, when you look at the Netflix and the Amazon and all those TV deals, that money's going in that same pot. The
When something like that
merchandising,
happens, Claibs, you were a former agent, and so the way that they didn't have cell phones back when you were an agent, but when that news breaks, is Tyreek Hill, does he text his agent immediately, or is his agent already calling the Dolphins and saying, "Hey, we want more money"? What happens first?
It really depends on the circumstances. First of all, you have to have a good understanding of what the cap looks like, and who else is going to be up. I think that's the first thing. If Tyreek Hill is in the second year of a new deal, then bro, that's not going to work. We just signed you. And more of the money is guaranteed now, too. So that has a lot to do with it. And I don't know how much of his deal is guaranteed. I don't know if you've heard with Jefferson's deal.
110 of it. Yeah.
140?
Yeah.
So it's really $110 million deal.
And he has a $88 million signing bonus.
Mm-hmm. So with the rest of that money that's guaranteed is through probably roster bonuses and things of that nature, simple things. But when you look at the bigger picture, there are going to be guys that are going to be calling. And, it just won't be receivers. Now Jefferson may have set the mark as far as receivers a starting point, but there's going to be somebody going to make more money than that. Yeah. And I think what you're going to also see with the way quarterbacks are moving around, you're going to start seeing some offensive linemen making some real paper now, because it's a proven fact. If you don't have an offensive lineman, a bellwether, a guy who can stand out there and just decide who doesn't get hurt, his value is going to go through the roof as well, because there aren't enough of them who are ready. So it's going to be it'll be fun to watch over the next few weeks.
That's going to wrap it up for our show today. Claibs, another couple days off before you get back at it with the Cardinals this Thursday night as they welcome the Rockies.
I've got the Colorado game, and I think Colorado Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we're off Monday, and then we come back on Tuesday, and then we have our Champions Club game that's on Wednesday. So we got a lot going on the next week or so, and then after that we go to Chicago, Miami, come back and play one game at Rickwood Field, and then the Giants come to town. So a lot of good baseball in store for the Cardinals and the Cardinal fans coming up.
Yeah, they've started promoting that Rickwood Field game a lot more over the last week or so, on especially on Fox and on the MLB social media accounts. They just posted the other day the hats that the Giants are going to wear for that game. Have you heard of any players, former players, people that are going to be making their way down to that game yet?
I asked somebody that question today, and they couldn't tell me. They didn't know.
Okay.
I'm a little surprised that we don't have more information about it, because they have a number of events, I'm told, that are planned that week. But as far as committed individuals, I have not heard any names.
Okay. More on that.
I know I'll be there on Thursday.
Over the next couple of weeks. Until then, he is Mike Claiborne. I'm Joe Roderick. We'll have Daily Cards Live coming your way at some point today as well. But that's going to wrap up this show, Lunch with Claibs and Joe. We are powered by Gray Bar and driven by Munganess St. Louis Acura each and every week right here on Claibs Online.
Munganess St. Louis Acura is making room for the 2025 MDX, so that means great deals for you on the 2024 MDX. We have over 100 2024 MDX models in stock, and you get financing as low as 3.9% for up to 60 months. Or you can lease a new MDX for just $559 per month for 36 months. Or get the MDX technology model for just $589 per month for 36 months. Munganess St. Louis Acura, better than ever for you.